Hi, everyone, and welcome to this evening's District Training Committee's first training session for the Rotary year, our membership webinar in keeping with our theme for August, which is Membership and New Club Development Month. Thank you all for joining us. We have an exciting lineup for you this evening. I'll now invite District Governor Brian to give us brief welcome remarks. DG Brian, over to you.
Thank you and good afternoon. How are you doing, Leah? Well, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome, fellow Rotarians, and welcome to our membership seminar, or webinar as it's properly called, on making our membership action plan, or MAP, work for us. Since 2015, Rotary International has identified membership growth as its top priority. This is in recognition of its pivotal role in propelling our organization's impact further. So Rotary, as the world's leading membership organization for community service, acknowledges the persistent challenge of declining membership. However, in the face of this challenge, Zones 33 and 34 have risen to the occasion and crafted a membership action plan, or MAP, that includes a multi-year strategy to instill a membership culture, fostering consistent and well-managed growth. As we in our District 7030 collectively aspire to create hope in the world through our localized communities, the need for additional members becomes paramount. Our diverse services require fresh perspectives, innovative ideas, and renewed zeal and vigor, all of which can be delivered through a stronger membership base. The membership action plan we present today is a roadmap underpinned by data analytics and other techniques. These tools provide a structured methodology for our Rotary clubs to individualize and refine their membership development strategies. Most of you will remember that RI President Gordon's vision for the expansion of Rotary, and that vision is nothing short of inspiring. That Rotary should exist everywhere in a manner that resonates with anyone who shares our desire to create positive change in the world. So at this time, I would like to express a heartfelt appreciation to the individuals who are championing this initiative. Firstly, our zone coordinator, Mike Dara, past District Governor Lyle, who has some personal challenges and may not be able to make it with us today. Our thoughts are with him. And PDG Lyle represents us at zone level. And of course, our dedicated training team, led by Leah Chatterton, and the dynamic membership team, jointly led by Past Assistant Governor Maurice Sad and Zone Committee member Giselle Holder. Of course, with invaluable support from PDG Wadi Soma. And of course, a special welcome, a special mention, sorry, is warranted for our previous membership chair, Natalie Gilles, whose exceptional efforts in preparing the platform for membership growth have been nothing short of invaluable. So, dear fellow Rotarians, as we embark on this short journey together, turning President Gordon's vision into our collective realities, the stage has been set by AG Leah for an enriching and productive webinar. And we look forward to the meaningful discussions and insights that will undoubtedly emerge from the presentation. So once again, a warm welcome to each of you. I think we have approximately 60 persons on at this time. And let us now collectively steer our district towards new heights of impact and accomplishment. So thank you all and have a productive webinar.
We'll now move straight into our zone coordinator, Mike Durag. He's on with us, and he will give us an overview of two of our local clubs, so we get direct information, while he discusses the Membership Success Center and gives us a Membership Action Plan 101. So please listen keenly as I hand you over to Mike. Over to you, Mike.
Thanks, Leah. Good evening. I want to first let you know that Hurricane Idalia just blew by my house in Jacksonville, and we did our best to tire it out because we see it projected to go back out in the Caribbean, or at least the Atlantic, and maybe turn south. So we did our best to just wear it out, so maybe you didn't get a whole lot from it in the next few days. Luckily, we didn't have much effect in our house, but unfortunately, I don't know how the folks on the west side of the state are going to be doing. But tonight, I'm going to talk to you about a new program called the Membership Action Plan. Brian mentioned it. Our zone, which covers the Caribbean, Georgia, and Florida, worked with our sister zone, which goes all the way up the Atlantic seaboard. And we wanted to find a better way to help our 1,600 clubs. So we are trying to find and create kind of a map to help lead clubs to greater strength. And when we finally thought, what should the name be? We thought, well, the Membership Action Plan, MAP. And it helps people develop their own plan for the club. Later on, I'll mention some of the other tools, but first, we wanted to let you see your club's three most crucial measurements so you can understand where there are opportunities to improve. This morning, we sent an email around 8 a.m. to all the clubs, to the club presidents, and the club membership chairs. First off, on this, if you wouldn't mind, if you're not on live, if you would put a hand up, how many of you are either a club president or a club membership chair? Okay, how many of you are not a club membership chair or a president? Okay, so based on these reactions, it's hard for me to tell. If you did not get the email this morning, if you would please let me know in chat, list your name, your email address, your club, your position in the club, like secretary, president-elect, or just a good member. And if you are the president or club membership chair and couldn't open the email or the link in it, please let me know that in the chat as well. So let me ask Giselle, if you would, to go ahead and share slides with us. I've got 5 slides that I want to go through with you. And the first one's talking about the membership action plan. There are 5 steps when you go through setting a good plan. First, you have to figure out what your goal is. And we're going to talk tonight about a couple of things, these 3 membership measurements that really help you set a goal. The second thing you need to do is you identify problems to solve so that you can make that goal. The third is you want to track your progress and see how you're doing. And fourth, especially if you've got a problem in one area, maybe your members are leaving more than you would like them to. There's a survey that you can take where you measure your members' satisfaction in some key areas. And that oftentimes gives you a way to actually change your club and improve it for the better. And finally, the 5th area, and this came up, it's actually number 3 on this slide, it's to discover strategies to help you figure out what it is you want to change. Okay, so let's go to the next slide and talk about what it is you need to know. And if you got the email this morning, it was about 8 a.m. and it came from me. You can click on the link that leads you to your goal setting. And you'll get a page like this for your club. Now, I checked with this club, and it so happens that Giselle is from this club, and she allowed us, well, the club president allowed us to use these numbers. Excuse me. So I'm going to talk first about one of the numbers on here that's circled, and it's attraction. What attraction is, it's the number of members that you have tended to attract each year. We express it in the percent. For example, if you have 100 members and you attract 15, just think in your mind, I know this is math, but it's not real complex math. Your attraction rate, we'd call it, would be 15%. The other statistic that many people don't think about is what we call the attrition or the reduction in members. And if you lose 15 per year and you're a club that has 100 members, your attrition rate would be about 15%. So many clubs only think about the number of members who have joined that year. And so often I talk to a club membership president or membership chair, and I ask them, how are you doing? Oh, we're doing great. We've added 5 new members. And I keep using 100 because that's so easy to do the math on. But I say, but your club is down 10%. So you must have lost 15 members. No. I can't remember anybody leaving. The problem is when members leave, they generally do it quietly. So unless you know what your attrition is, you really don't plan very well for your club to stay strong, to have good number of people so that you can get more done in your community. So here, let's go through the Marival numbers. In this case, the attrition, you can see it circled there, is about 17.4%. That's a little higher than the average. The average on your district, actually for attrition, you all lose about 10% a year in your clubs. It's a lot lower than the 15% across all the rest of our zone. So that's pretty impressive. That is the number, the percent, about 10%, 8% is about the lowest we ever see. Life happens, people leave, they have life conflicts with work or family, or they move, or a few of them, and not that many each year, go to that big Rotary Club in the sky that rewards all, all the good things done. You can't do much about that one, but 8 to 10% is about the minimum we see on attrition. So each year you have to add at least that many. Here you see the attraction rate in this case is about 10.5%. So you look out on the far right-hand side and you'll see a 6.9% loss. These numbers, we call them a rate because we look at the tendency over 3 years and we take it as an average rate, because that just takes out, especially for smaller clubs, the ups and downs that occur each year. And it gives you a sense more of what the culture creates. Now, if you look at your own club, you ought to be able to see how that compares. And if you look at the next section, which is just to the left there, it says problems to solve. You look there, and in this case, it says insufficient attraction and high attrition. If you've got those showing up there, you can click on that blue button that I've circled, and you can then see what are the suggestions that you can do. And there are some specific things in there that you can do to help that. Then you go to the final, where I've got an arrow, and you see right there how you can set your own goal by going into the Membership Success Center and setting that. If Giselle will move on up to the next. Here's the other thing that is really great about this Membership Success Center. You can see what your numbers have been over time. And this is not an abnormal thing, what we see right here. Now, I will say it's abnormal on 70/30 in that you all have done a good job of building your clubs over the past 4 or 5 years. You've had a few down times, but most of the time you've been up. This sort of decrease is not surprising. People don't notice small decreases each year. But when you see it here, you realize, okay, we need to get the club together and figure out how we turn this around. Because realistically, the larger your club is, the more interesting people you have, the more impact you can make on your community, all those things. That's what makes Rotary something that makes a difference in each one of our lives, in the lives in your community, and real frankly, in what you find in yourself. So there's one other club that I'd like to cover, and it is Puente Pita. My French, I am sorry, is not real great, so I won't try to say that again. But here's a club, and Maurice Saad is from this club. When we showed this to Maurice 2 nights ago, he did a little bit of a victory dance, which I was hoping we'd have room to be able to show you, but he's probably already done it here. But you can see what the numbers are here. In this case, it has 15% attraction, and they've got their attrition down, the loss of members down to 6.5%. That means every year they've been growing at 8.6% on average. So Giselle, if you could go to the next slide, it shows what happens when you do that. The reason this is so important is, just like I said, if you want to have that moderate, consistent growth, when you pay attention to your members that are leaving, and if that's high, you start doing something so that you can reduce that attrition. And you also, with MAP, we start giving you tools that help you build a membership pipeline, bring those folks in and engage them. So I want to leave you with one thing here. We're not talking about just playing with numbers. We're talking about why growth is important. Your club can only have a major impact if you are able to keep your club growing and keep it strong with interested members who are engaged. It makes it a more interesting place to go. You have more hands to do service or help raise funds. You have more leaders each year to be able to take on all the tasks that you need to do. And at the end of the day, when you look at what you personally have done, when that group is a larger group and a stronger group, you have accomplished so much by being part of that group. And I'll offer you just one quick last thing. I was a district governor in 2019 to 20. I never realized all the good that is done by Rotary clubs. If you ever want a very humbling experience, apply to be district governor. Brian can tell you this as you visit clubs and you see what they have done by pulling all these people together. It is amazing. I offer you that because your club has the chance to make that same sort of massive improvement, both in your community, across the world, and even more in yourself. So I turn this back to Leah, and I'll come back in just a little bit and talk to you about some of those tools that you can use for both attrition and attraction improvements.
Thank you so much, Mike, for that insightful introduction. I'm sure everyone is waiting to hear more from you. And for those who got the email, it probably sunk in a bit more. For those, I've seen your messages. So Mike will take note of those so that you can get the email as well. And then it starts to click when you actually get onto the site and see it. However, just how he's showing you, or he showed you on there, it is essentially that simple. It's an excellent tool, and you'll hear more about it as we move on with our program. Let me now invite our DRR, Christina, District Rotary Rep, as well as our District Membership Co-Chair, Giselle, to give us an overview of both membership data for Rotaract and Rotary. We'll start with DRR, Christina.
Good evening, everyone. I am very happy to be here with you to share a bit about my district's data and our membership. So unfortunately, Rotaract does not currently have an average attrition or average attraction rate. And this is simply because measuring Rotaract data only began this year when clubs were required to assess their membership and clean up their data in order to accurately report their numbers for invoicing purposes. So here we have I have just a few graphs to show you in terms of our numbers. So District 7 to 30 Rotaract is comprised of 45 clubs, 42 of which are community-based and 3 are university-based. All right, moving along to my next graph. So our membership as at July 2023 was recorded at 786 Rotaractors, and at August 30th, we recorded 822 Rotaractors. Now, this increase would have been as a result of the district and Rotary encouraging clubs to update their information for record-keeping purposes, and especially as we prepare for invoicing and payment of dues. And lastly, just a bit of our gender distribution within our district. We currently have, our district rather, is comprised of 61.7% females and 27.3% males. So yes, that's just a bit about our membership distribution, our clubs, and where we stand right now. So hopefully I can come back later on and present to you on our attrition and attraction rates as we build that database in the years to come. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, dear Christina. Over to you, DM co-chair Giselle.
Thank you, Leah, and thanks, dear Christina. So similar to Christina, our Rotary statistics for RD 7030. What we did here was show our July 1st statistics, right? And compared to just the worldwide statistics, if we want to know how we're benchmarking. So in terms of gender distribution, we're doing, we still have a lot of work to do, right? But we're at 56-44, which isn't too bad. In terms of our attrition overall as District 7030, we are at 9.8%. And I think Mike alluded to the fact that we tend to perform a bit better than other districts, but I know that we are quite a competitive bunch. So we would definitely want to see how we could improve on that rate, similarly to our overall attraction rate of 11.7. In terms of our distribution for age, the bulk of our Rotarians are over 40, right, as you see here, and we do, though, have a few of those that are under 40. So this is where we are at as at July 1st, 2023, okay? And I think what I will do one time, Leah, is go to the next section. So what we also wanted to chat a little bit about is, as we are on a call about MAP, last year when MAP was first introduced to our districts and to the entire Zone 33 and 34 in a very formalized way by RI Director Jeremy Hurst, the very cool thing was some incentives were placed in there. So the incentive was attend the MAP webinars, which were monthly webinars and continue to be monthly webinars, as well as use the tools learned to grow your club. So we are very pleased today to recognize clubs who won these awards. So these are MAP specific awards that these clubs would have won for last year. So the first club is Fort de France Sud. I hope, where's Maurice? Where's Maurice when you need him, right? But yeah, so they got a bronze certificate. So yeah, you. We have New Amsterdam. These are all Rotary clubs, okay? We have New Amsterdam, bronze certificate, yeah. Barbados, who got a silver certificate. Shellshire, which got a silver certificate as well. So we're yaying and we're wooing as we're going along. And last but not least, I believe St. Vincent got a silver certificate. So we are very proud of these clubs. These are MAP awards, Membership Action Plan awards, that recognize their attendance at the MAP webinars last year, as well as the positive growth they were able to obtain. What we will do is later on in our membership sessions, celebrate also those clubs overall that grew last year and helped us achieve positive growth for District 7030 along with these clubs. Okay, so thank you.
Thanks so much, District Membership Co-Chair Giselle, for that information. Congrats to all of the clubs for their bronze and silver award recognitions. Did anyone else notice the trend that the French trend? Yeah, most of the clubs were Francais.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like we all have to go to Guadeloupe and Martinique and French Guyana to up our membership game. Also, did anyone see those numbers about over 40 and under 40? I have a question for you, Giselle. I'm 40, so where do I stand in that? I'm under the 40 line, right?
You're just not counted, Leah. You're just not counted.
That's what happens. Okay.
It's the gray area.
It's the gray area. Okay. I don't mind. It's fine. Okay, we'll move right along. And we'll now invite back Zone Coordinator Mike. He gave you a snippet earlier, and he's coming back now to go a bit deeper into it so you can understand these important figures of attrition and attraction and things you can do to help with both. So please give him your attention. Over to you, Mike.
Thanks, Leah. So Giselle just talked to you about MAP webinars, Membership Action Plan webinars. Those webinars occur once every month. They're 45 minutes, and you'll find tonight we're trying to honor your time by keeping time compressed. But we really compress those to 45 minutes. I mentioned we have 1,600 clubs across both zones, both Zone 34, which is us, and Zone 33, which is north of us. We go through and find the best clubs to give us examples in a variety of areas, and it deals with those strategies that we were talking about. When you see that you've got high attrition, for example, the strategies that pop up there are look at those things that make irresistible clubs. Our next two MAP webinars, one coming up on the second Monday of September, will be about irresistible clubs. Unfortunately, we were going to have the first one about a new club. And we were going to be recording last night, and they are right in the bend of Florida where the 10-foot storm surge came. So one of the things that new club did last year that was incredible was create a whole pile of service initiatives. And one of those was going down to where Ian had hit and making a big difference down there. I mention that because this club grew from 2 people that had the idea in August of last year to 68 very active and engaged members at the end of the past year. So in 10 months, they grew to 68. Now, most clubs can't do that. This club was able to do it because they had a president that knew these techniques and implemented them to make certain they did a variety of things on the attraction side. So what he did was, first off, he built a pipeline. He figured out what sorts of members they wanted. Second, he figured out how was he going to connect to those members. And by the way, what I'm telling you, build a pipeline, connect with those prospects, these are all topics of webinars where we've had clubs that have done an outstanding job at this. We have them come on and say, this is how we've done it. This is how we get our members to think, who could I bring? Who would be a good fit and really help our club go somewhere? Connecting to prospects. There's some good techniques to use. So when members come into your club, you know them and they know you. And they make that sort of connection before they ever decide to join. A third thing, onboarding them. To know those things about your members, so when they come on, they feel like they've joined a club. The club has made a big deal out of them. They brought in their family. They brought in their coworkers. They really feel as though they've joined an organization that makes a difference. Doing that sort of onboarding, it doesn't just happen. Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of clubs that just kind of say, well, we put our new member in newsletter, good enough. Nobody knows that person. And within 2 years, that person's normally gone. So doing those sorts of things to get good attraction, that and doing the things to minimize attrition, those are all things that are part of these webinars we've been holding. Interestingly enough, we found we do videos of these. We also publish where these videos are and say, here's where you jump to this section of the video. So you can go right there and see what other very successful clubs have done in order to, whether it's build a pipeline or onboard your people, all those things are right where you can look at them. The last thing I'll mention is the Irresistible Club. That does two things. It both attracts members and keeps members from attriting or leaving. In the Membership Success Center, when you go there, look over on the left-hand side, and if you're a president or a club membership chair, you have access to a survey, about a 7-minute survey that you can send your club members. It makes it easy to send that out and get their feelings about how welcoming your club is, about those things that they think should be continued and that are strengths of your club, those things that should be stopped because they are just there from 50 years ago and they just don't resonate, or those things that they're okay, but you need some improvement. You get all those things in 7 minutes. You can capture that in your survey. So once again, you become that irresistible club that both attracts people and it also keeps people from wanting to leave. So those are the key things. I wanted you to know about those webinars. As we said, your French clubs have discovered them and they're doing well, because to get that MAP award, you not only had to attend, you had to grow. So they accomplished quite a bit. And we'd love to see the rest of you on the MAP webinars. So back to you, Leah.
Awesome people with your beautiful smiles and bright faces, taking in all of this membership gold. I mean, I feel like I could be membership chair. Obviously, I'm not going to go and uproot our current membership chair because she knows what she's doing and I'm just learning. So I'll just stick to my role. But from what I've heard so far, that's how confident I feel. I hope you all feel the same way. We'll now turn over to our second district membership co-chair, Maurice. And just to inform you before DMC Maurice comes on, we felt that we needed to be more inclusive in our approach with our membership trainings this year. And as such, Maurice will be speaking in his native tongue, French. Over to you, DMC Maurice.
Oui, bonsoir à tous. Est-ce que on m'entend bien? Juste un petit test. Oui? Très bien. Alors, bonsoir à tous. Donc, Gisèle et moi, on a repris la commission effective du district et nous avons travaillé à la réalisation d'un plan effectif pour le district. Donc, il serait un peu trop long de vous le détailler ce soir. C'est pour cela que mon intervention de ce soir aura pour but de vous expliquer d'une façon sommaire comment Gisèle et moi allons travailler avec chacun d'entre vous cette année, en espérant qu'avec votre engagement, nous atteindrons des résultats que le Rotary mondial nous enviera. Donc, nous voulons avoir des échanges cette année avec vous plus personnels, avec chacun des clubs de notre district, dans l'espoir de mieux répondre aussi à vos attentes, parce que en étant DMC, c'est notre rôle de vous accompagner pendant toute cette année dans la croissance de votre effectif et aussi le confort de vos membres. Donc, dans un premier temps, nous allons séparer les clubs en 3 groupes en fonction de leur effectif, afin que le discours et la stratégie soient les plus adaptés. Donc, nous rencontrerons ces groupes trimestriellement afin de les écouter et de suivre l'avancée de nos objectifs et éventuellement de réadapter la stratégie en fonction des retours que nous aurons des différents clubs. Donc, on parle en fonction des clubs en fonction de l'effectif, on va dire d'une façon caricaturale des large, medium and small. Voilà. Je vais reprendre donc dans le cours du discours, en fait, de la conversation que l'on a. Dans un premier temps, je vous avais dit que nous allons nous voir avec différents groupes en fonction de l'effectif euh, trimestriellement, donc tous les 3 mois. Et puis ça, c'est pour un peu voir un peu l'évolution de l'effectif, d'écouter les retours des différents clubs et de pouvoir en discuter en fonction des groupes et de réadapter un peu la stratégie en fonction des retours. Donc, à part ça, tous les mois, on vous enverra vos statistiques et en fonction des cas, on se rapprochera de vous pour en discuter. Ce suivi mensuel sera l'occasion d'un échange sur votre progression en compagnie des assistants gouverneurs, des AG et des CMCs, des responsables de l'effectif au sein de votre club. Euh, J'aimerais avoir un retour pour savoir si on m'entend bien et si la traduction est bonne. Serait-ce possible? Écoutez, je vais continuer et puis on verra bien ce que ça va donner. Donc, à part ces réunions trimestrielles en présentiel et ces informations que l'on va vous donner mensuellement, on a deux grandes sessions de formation au programme de l'année. Donc, elles seront semestrielles, c'est-à-dire tous les 6 mois, pendant lesquelles nous renforcerons vos connaissances sur l'utilisation des outils à notre disposition pour améliorer votre effectif, ainsi que pour vous permettre de mieux analyser des données. Euh, Notre rôle à Gisèle et à moi est aussi de vous laisser toujours au fait des dernières informations et stratégies qui sont mises en place par la zone et par le Rotary international sur le membership. Donc, à cet effet, nous aurons tous les 2 mois un récapitulatif de ce qu'il faut savoir, avec bien entendu la possibilité d'en discuter individuellement avec Gisèle et moi. OK? Donc, il est notre rôle aussi de faire la promotion des grands rendez-vous du Rotary international et de la zone sur le membership. Et nous vous encouragerons à y participer parce que nous sommes plus que convaincus que ces webinaires restent une source remarquable d'information et d'inspiration. Donc, pendant cette année, nos seuls meetings en personne sont ceux qui seront organisés trimestriellement, quarterly. C'est pour cela que j'insiste vraiment à ce que les présidents, les assistants du gouverneur, les responsables effectifs soient présents. Ils seront la base de la relation personne à personne que Gisèle et moi voulons développer avec vous cette année. Donc, tous les sujets en rapport avec le membership seront abordés avec vous. Les données statistiques, les notions d'attrition, d'attraction, les outils d'analyse, ce qu'il faut faire et ne pas faire, l'implication des membres, ce que le club aussi peut apporter aux membres et pas seulement ce que les membres peuvent apporter au club. Nous parlerons aussi des clubs satellites et plein d'autres choses, donc concernant le membership, mais tout cela, et ça c'est un peu important, tout cela à la sauce du district 70-30, avec notre culture, notre savoir-faire, et notamment lorsque nous aborderons le gros problème de défection des membres qui se passe souvent entre décembre et juin. En décembre plutôt et en juin, ce que je voulais dire. C'est ce qu'on appelle en fait les purges de décembre et de juin. Donc, les AG seront à vos côtés, ainsi que Gisèle et moi, bien sûr. Et puis, nous allons mettre en place un help desk. Donc, pour vous apporter à tout moment explications, informations, solutions. Mais en fait, tout ça, on en discutera plus tard, le moment voulu, notamment lorsqu'on aura des interactions durant l'année. Voilà, c'est à peu près tout ce que je voulais vous dire ce soir. L'agenda de nos rencontres vous sera transmis très prochainement, en espérant votre engagement à faire de cette année un vrai succès. Je ne sais pas si il y a eu des problèmes dans la traduction, je serais bien désolé de ça, mais je pourrais toujours vous envoyer la traduction ou essayer de vous faire un texte de ce que je vous ai dit et vous envoyer ça par le biais d'Annette, notre district secretary. Je vous remercie. Léa, c'est à toi.
Okay, so that was the end of all our presentations. We now move into our Q&A segment. I don't recall seeing any questions in the chat box. I may have missed it. Please let me know if I did. However, we will now give you the opportunity to raise your hand and ask any questions or make any comments, give any interventions that you may have at this time. I see Vincent, you wanted to make a contribution?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Well, I'd like to ask a question. It is basically in terms of methods of doing membership. What is how to put it? The method I had for doing as DEI membership committee chair and present president, and one of the things I wanted to do was do a flyer and have it disseminated to my members, to disseminate to their colleagues and in business spaces and stuff like that. How is that? How it doesn't seem to be too much. It doesn't seem to be going too well. So is that something like how could I, make it work?
So I'll jump in on that one, and Giselle or Maurice can also talk. The thing that we found most efficient and most effective is the personal touch. That when I talk to you, Vincent, that I talked to Vincent, and I talked to Vincent about what he's interested in. And we start talking about how maybe it's service or whatever it is that you're most interested in. Once I get to know you, then I invite you to come to something that affects you. If it's a program, it's something that you're interested in. If your club has strong programs, or it's to ask you to help and to come and help on something. A flyer can help. Some clubs have a very concise description of what their club is, but that really takes some work to figure out what is your club. If you had to describe your club, figuring out what that elevator pitch is, the thing that you can say in 30 seconds. But the thing, like I said at the beginning, though, that's most influential is there are many different needs that your club can meet. Knowing what that person, the person you're talking to, what they want, what they're influenced by, and where their passion lies, that is the most influential thing as far as getting them to come to a service event or a social. Socials are great. Meetings oftentimes are not the best place to introduce someone to Rotary because they tend to be less interaction and they meet fewer people. The strength of Rotary is in our people. And when you're out at a service event or a social, you get to meet more interesting people. Vincent, does that make sense?
Yes, to a point. But I wanted to clarify in terms of the effectiveness of the flyer. In terms of the flyer was designed in such a way that the members would have took it to their workplaces, and mainly through their colleagues and their own members. And there's numbers they would call on that, and they would call out, of course, the numbers that are there. And these persons, of course, will be people either through places you would have disseminated the flyer or through your friends who you have disseminated to. So they will in turn call you and find out about Rotary because, you know, on their interest, and they probably would have expressed their interest in all these things. And then, of course, we have what I call a membership committee, of course. And they would in turn, will have a meeting with them, a Zoom meeting to have a chat with them and give them a full roundup of what Rotary is all about, etc., etc. And then probably from there, invite them to meetings or social events or projects. And these, so that is the spin-off of it. But the main thing was to get them to be interested.
So whenever you're doing advertising, the thing that I found most helpful when I got in sales was somebody said, "Who's your audience?" And my immediate reaction was, I don't care. I know what I want to tell people. And they said, you have to figure out who your audience is and then point toward that audience. So if you're just putting something up on a bulletin board and it doesn't appeal to that audience, you have to figure out what it is, what your flyer is going to accomplish, who you're wanting to contact. If it's just, here's what we are, that's not nearly as effective as knowing what audience you're appealing to and then try to target that audience. So a flyer can be helpful, especially if it tells what your club does. But if you just post it up places, oftentimes it's very hard to target a general interest flyer and have it grab people. Does that make sense?
Sort of. I'm thinking of it in terms of, yes, sort of, but at the same time, I guess my interest is that, you know, it at least will get people to call you and you could have a chat with them. And these are people you don't know, not people you know. So the people you don't know, who don't know there's a club in your area, you know, give back. Because in Trinidad, there are a lot of people who don't even know that in the area where we are, there is a club. So my idea is to not put it anywhere, but you know, your own membership will put it in their workplaces, and then if people ask about it, then they could call them and talk to them there. So that's the general idea.
And I realize we're spending a lot of time on this one, but I'll leave it with this. What is more effective than a flyer is what you do in the community. And if you put that on social media and your members put that on social media and that gets out in the community, then people will be asking. If you put a flyer up, where are you doing service? If you put a flyer up where people see what your club is, then that has much more chance of getting a reaction. If it's just a piece of paper written up there and it just describes a few things, that's not nearly as effective as people see you doing. So sorry to take so much time on one question, but Vincent, I think that's a great question.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Vincent, for your question, and Mike for your responses. We now move to Dorrit from Antigua, and then we'll take France afterwards. So Dorrit, you can go ahead.
Hello, good night, everyone. I just wanted Mike to go over where he said you can send out the survey to members about to get feedback about what they like or things they would like to improve on the club.
So Dorrit, were you able to follow the link, or did you receive the link to go into your goal setting?
Yes.
Okay, follow that link, and over on the left-hand side, you'll see survey. You can click on that, and it tells you how to send out that survey to your club members.
All right, thank you so much.
Sure.
Great. France, you're next.
Hi, good evening. I hope you could hear me clearly because my internet is really giving me some trouble. But I just wanted to make a comment on what was being discussed earlier and just make a general recommendation. I think it's always important to get feedback, not just from members, but from prospective members and the community. So for example, Vincent was saying that, if I understood him correctly, that he's not necessarily getting the traction that he was hoping that he would get from the flyer. It might be useful to actually go and touch base with persons and ask them, well, did you see the flyer? If you saw it, then why didn't you contact us? If you didn't see it, like, what would be the best way of getting information to you so you could know about our club? Are you aware that the club is located here, that we have host meetings, that we do these community projects, or the playground was repaired? Did you know that that was our Rotary Club? But similarly, even if you do get traction, but that doesn't convert into membership, likewise, ask them, well, you made a call, you showed some interest initially, but you never really did join the club. Why? Is it that there's something that's not attractive about the club? Is there something that would make it more attractive? Is it that there are particular challenges that you are experiencing that may prevent you from fully committing? How could we try to accommodate you as much as possible? But the point is, just as how it's important to get feedback from our members so we could know how we need to adjust our culture, our leadership, and our engagement strategies, it's the same way we need to get feedback from the community and prospective members so we could know how to adjust and pivot with our recruitment strategies as well.
Franz, that is a great approach. And Vincent, here is a great use of your flyer. As I said, when you ask someone to help, here Franz is taking the flyer to someone and saying, you know, that flyer has been, I was thinking of putting this up, and you're the sort of person that we'd love to have in our club, but can you tell me, does this appeal to people like you? Because we do all these great things, but it's a way to ask for help with the flyer and get that feedback. And there you're having that conversation, asking someone to help you. Almost everybody's going to jump in and help you, because when you start describing what your club is like, what a great way to engage with people. And you find out whether the person is really a helpful person or not. So I think that's great. And Franz, to your comment, we had one club that when we were talking about building a pipeline, they were looking that they decided they wanted the service people in their community, the firefighters, the police. They wanted somebody from every one of those service groups to join their club. So they went out to them, and the feedback they got was, oh, you're those folks that meet over at the country club at noon, right? Man, that's just not my thing. You know, I'm not into country clubs. I just don't talk that language. That's just not. And what they realized was they had to create a satellite because they wanted those folks. Those are the sorts of projects they did. They created a satellite and picked up about 25 members and had them tightly tied into their club, but they did it through a different format. So good point, Franz.
Hey, Leah, it's not a question, but I did see it in the chat where I believe some Rotaract clubs did send their information for Mike to get onto them. Just going off of what DRR Christina said, unfortunately, our Rotaractors are not yet on the Membership Success Center, right? What we're hoping is that maybe in 3 years' time, when we have the data collection starting from this year, we would be able to have similar statistics to share with all our Rotaractors. But as of now, your DRR, your DRC, they are able to get data for the year that we are in, right? And that's why DRR Christina could have shared on what we're looking like. But yeah, we wouldn't have the attrition average rates just as yet.
Yeah, the data we had prior to January of this year. Yeah, this year, right, Giselle? Holy
Imagine
cow.
it's this year, yes.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
feels like it was
Yeah.
such a
So
thing
far
to get
away.
all those records corrected.
Absolutely.
Because the data was, I would say, 50% off.
Yeah,
Um,
very wrong.
so it was garbage, and trying to make sense, give you attrition rates for garbage data. Now we've got pretty good data. And that allows us in 3 years, unfortunately, to start giving Rotaract similar access.
Well, that sounds extremely promising. Do we have any more questions or comments? If not, then I would ask our presenter, zone coordinator Mike, to just give us a few wrap-up tidbits before we then move over to DG Brian to close us out for the evening.
Well, I cannot say anything more influential than what Brian said at the beginning, because Rotary International did say about 7 years ago, as Brian said, membership is number one. Yes, we do service, but we make a fantastic membership experience. I'll give you the vision statement, and I'm doing this from my memory. About 5 or 6 years ago, our incoming president of Rotary International, Stephanie Urchik, pulled together a group at Rotary International and said, we need to come up with a vision statement, something that expresses worldwide who we are. And here's what they came up with, and you probably heard this. We together unite to create lasting change in our communities, across the globe, and in ourselves. That last part, when I say it, is I have trouble getting that out because it truly has made a difference in my life, in my kids' lives. And that is what we offer our members, that ability to meet people in our meetings and our socials and our service events when we are doing well, when we're a club like Maurice's. We're able to create that experience for our members that not only enriches them by a great meeting, by all those conversations and socials with the service events, but it makes something so much bigger than we are individually. That is what membership is. It is not counting numbers. We give you the numbers, so like when you go to the doctor, you can analyze what's going on. But our job is not to just, for example, take pills so that we can just last longer. Our job is to have an incredible experience for our members and for ourselves. That is what membership is. That's why we're helping you to analyze what is it, what goes right, what goes wrong, and how can you create that sort of experience for your members so that your club just makes that vision statement come alive for them and for yourselves. And when you're really doing it right, and this is to Francis' comment and to Vincent's comment, when you're doing it right, your community loves you and they want to be part of that. Back to you, Leah.
Thanks so much, Mike. It really was a pleasure having you. DG Brian, I now invite you to give us your closing remarks.
Thank you. Thank you, AG Leah. There isn't really much I can say except to Mike, thank you so much for a really inspiring and very interesting presentation. I think all of our clubs who attended know a lot more now than we did at the beginning of the presentation. We understand what MAP is about, what MAP is about, and it's just up to us now to implement what you've preached to us. And of course, to the training team and the membership team, thanks for making all of this happen. And have a great evening, everyone.
Thanks so much, DG. Thanks to everyone for coming. Could the district training committee and the membership committee and Mike stay on the call for a bit with Patty? Everyone else, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you at our next training session. Please follow the district website and the social media pages for updates on when that will be. Take care and have a wonderful evening.